Monthly meeting to order. Please rise for the invitation. Forgotten.
Pray with me, please. Dear Heavenly Father, we're thankful for the opportunity to gather together as a town and townspeople and to weigh the matters that involve our town and our local municipality, Father. We pray that everything that we say and everything we would do would glorify your name. We're thankful for the opportunity to come together tonight. We pray, Father, for those in our community who are sick. We pray that you would bring them back to their much wanted health. We are always eternally grateful for the sacrifice of your Son, Jesus, on the cross, Calvary, and pray that we will never forget or weigh that matter lightly in our hearts. This is our prayer in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Yes, ma'am. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, civil, with liberty and justice for all.
Chantel Gatlin. Here. Vice Mayor Kevin Cofield.
Here.
Alderman Charles Gatlin.
Here.
Alderman Logan Young.
Here.
Okay, at last month's meeting, the board voted to fill the vacant seat, and Sheila Stevens was that person. So we're gonna have a swearing in first thing. So if you'll come up here, we'll get through this together. All right, raise your right hand. I, Sheila Stevens,
I, Sheila Stevens,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will perform with fidelity
I will perform with fidelity
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
to which
to which
I'm about to assume.
about time assumed.
I do solemnly
I
swear
do solemnly swear
to support the constitutions
to support the constitutions
of the United States of America
of the United States of America
and of the state of Tennessee,
and of the state of Tennessee,
and to faithfully perform
and faithfully perform
the duties as alderman
the duties of alderman
for the town of Petersburg, Tennessee.
of the town of Petersburg of Tennessee.
Furthermore,
Furthermore,
I swear
I swear
that I will not take any
I will not take any
fee,
fee,
gift,
gifts,
bribe, or gratuity
bribes, or gratuity
that will hinder
that would hinder
or enhance the performance
or enhance the performance
of my duties
my duties
as alderman for the town of Petersburg.
as alderman of the town of Petersburg.
And I will faithfully execute
I will faithfully execute
the duties of alderman
the duties of alderman
for the town of Petersburg
for the town of Petersburg
to the best of my knowledge
to the best of my knowledge
and ability,
and abilities,
fairly and equally,
fairly and equally,
without prejudice,
without prejudice,
according to the law.
according to the law.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Welcome aboard. We'll pass that down. I'll get her to sign it, then I'll sign it, and I'll get it to Miss Laura. Go ahead. You need a pen? Yeah. All right. In your packet, you got the minutes from June the 8th, 2026.
I make a motion to accept the minutes from Monday, or June 8th, 2026.
Right?
I'll say.
We got a first and second to approve the minutes of June 8th, 2026. All approve by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, next scheduled meeting I have is August the 4th. Okay, we're ready for citizens input. Okay, communication by the mayor. The only thing I have at this point is the basketball goal is almost finished, waiting on the sealant to be, or is it done? It's done.
All I got.
So can the kids get on it? Kids can get on it. Okay, Laura, let them know we can get the rim put up. Okay, so that's all I had on communication by the mayor. Okay, all right. Well, we're ready for number 10, town hall emails, the Google Workspace account. So I have got quite a bit of information here. I've just I put it out so that I wouldn't miss any of the details, so I'm just gonna read it. The morning of March 31st, 2025, I realized the town was still paying for an email account for an employee who had recently resigned on March 7th, 2025. Seeing that the account was not being utilized, there wasn't no reason to continue paying for it. I came into my office, sat down at the computer, opened the Google Workspace account only to find someone logged in using an IP address used extensively by the former employee, actively logged into the town's email system. The user was actively downloading documents. One of these documents was in regard to another town employee and of a personal nature. With the resignation of the employee, many privileges of his former position were no longer active. It is my belief this information should not have been downloaded, and the user had no legal authority to do so. There also appeared to be numerous files that had been deleted by the same user. At this point, I used my administrative privilege and changed the user's password, thereby blocking any future attempts of this user to log into the town's email system and possibly continue downloading or deleting files. After the user's password was changed, the user made numerous attempts to regain access that same day. There had been at least 3 further attempts made to gain access since March 31st, 2025 by this user. The last attempt known to have occurred was on January 15th, 2026, well after this user began his new job. It was my belief that this intrusion into the email system could be illegal, considering this IP address belonged to someone was no longer employed by the town. Also, the 2-week notice given by the owner of this IP address had passed 10 days earlier. Computer usage is clearly noted to be for town employees, not former employees. With all these concerns, I decided to initiate contact with the district attorney's office with this information. I was told they could look into this, but they encouraged me to present it to Sheriff Malone for investigation first, as we were actively working on an MOU with him. I made contact with the sheriff, and he sent Chief Deputy John McDonald to retrieve this information. It has now been over a year, and the account remains open. I need the help of the board in this decision-making process. I've got a couple of options here, but I'm gonna let y'all, once I read these, I'll let y'all discuss whatever, ask questions. Option 1, should we turn this account off and not continue paying to keep it open if the sheriff's department's not going to go forward with it? Option 2, do we keep it open and seek legal action on the town's behalf? Because after all, one of our many jobs as alderman and mayor is to safeguard the town's information.
Can we not grab screenshots of what's out there?
Well, when I logged in to the Google Workspace account, one of the first things I did, because I do have, for those that don't know, I do have an IT background. I started doing print screens immediately. I knew to do that. And I have print screens from the Google Workspace that show the dates and times that intrusion was tried to be made. I then took the IP address, did a search on the location, also used the longitude and latitude, and it comes up to the address to where this former employee resides. Um,
The benefit to keeping it open would be to go ahead with prosecution, right?
right.
Okay.
That's one reason I had left it open after talking to the DA's office. I thought, well, they're gonna need it open to get in and to look around. I mean, I'm not for myself, I'm not a forensic cyber investigator. But I did do screenshots, you know, cause I thought, what I was looking at, I thought, oh, this is not right. I can't tell you what was deleted because it wouldn't show me. It just let me know that there had been files deleted. And that's one thing when you have government computers, you don't delete anything off of them. You're supposed to leave everything intact.
Okay, so could we not go out? You said you've already done some screenshots, right? Okay. Could we not go out or take those screenshots, go ahead and shut the account down so we're not paying for it? Take that information forward, because that information should be as good as gold going forward.
You could. I don't know if we deleted the account, how the cyber forensic investigation would work on the deleted stuff.
Well, we're locking a door that does need to be locked. If we do that, we're shutting a door. That just makes it one more step for investigators or whoever will be looking at this. So, am I understanding correctly, this is a former employee's IP account?
Would have been the email account.
Okay? And then after a 2-week notice had been worked out, 10 more days transpired,
Right.
and they actively, someone from that IP address came into the town computer, a town email, but the email is contained on the town computer, came into it and deleted files.
That's what it appears to be on the Google Workspace,
Okay.
because it gives you a lot of options to go back and look historically at what's been done. So that's what I started doing.
Well, this account was actively seen downloading
Yes.
files
And
of a personal nature, you
Yeah.
said?
And the person they were downloaded on, they do know about this. So, I mean,
Have they been notified?
they have been notified.
Very good.
And the email account, I don't mind telling you, the email account was matthew.griffey@petersburg10.gov.
Former chief.
And it was going to griffey14@hotmail.com. And I don't believe that that's a fictitious account, as I went ahead and further searched, because he has a business, and that is the email that is listed on his business. And I did put that in your packet, the next thing.
Well, if I understand, I'm not, you know what I know about computers. I do good to use my phone, but if Jesse was at the house and asked to use my computer, if he used my computer, then it would still show that it was my IP address, correct?
Yes.
So what we can't actively say we know for sure who, but we know whose account was being used. I mean, is that
And
the way you would?
Yes, and I know when you go and research the IP location and then you throw in the longitude and latitude of that, it puts it at that address. Or at his address.
Why, what's this?
If you flip the page over, that shows the email right there of what was being downloaded to.
What are you talking about?
primary.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah, I'm with you. So this is still an active,
That's still inactive.
when was this information gathered?
I got that today. I printed that out for you guys today. I actually went to the I've had mine printed out, but I went and did it as a today, so y'all would have that. It was current.
Heard anything else from the DA's office?
No, have not.
And we hadn't heard anything from the sheriff's office or anything
No, not a
regarding
thing.
this,
Hmm,
regarding this, nothing.
nothing.
So in other words, they're not going.
That's my
I was gonna say,
assumption.
they're probably not going.
I mean, that's my assumption.
Now, I'm sorry, in what you read, you discovered this on what day? Remind me.
March 31st
Of 25.
of 25.
31st, 25. And reported it immediately, pretty much.
I remember I did not, require any emails from our town attorney. I did make a phone call to him just to say, okay, I'm looking at this, is this, I said, I know this cannot be right, you're not supposed to do that, and he told me, yes, that I was right. And, I mentioned, I said, well, we have the DA, and he agreed that that would be my place to start.
Okay, so when you carried it to them, they said go to the sheriff's office.
They knew that we were actively working on an MOU, so they were like, we can look into it, but they said that Sheriff Malone had a really good investigative team that he might want this. So I said, okay. So it was set on for a while. And I don't know, that was in March 31st. We signed the MOU July the 8th of 25. And it was sometime thereafter. I do not remember the exact date of when the chief deputy came and picked up.
But you made notifications within.
Very quickly.
Okay.
My recollection, yes.
DA's office have any advice on where to pursue something like that if it's worth pursuing?
They didn't they didn't get into that. It was just, don't think you're supposed to be doing that. And I said, well, that's what I thought myself. I said, and I had been told, like if you were if you're an officer and let's just say you retired, but you've got cases that are pending in the court system, you can have files with you at your residence, because you may have to go to court on that. I know I've seen the information that was downloaded, and this, to my knowledge, this was not something that was an active case. Not here.
Well, that's kind of irrelevant, because if you've got 2 weeks to gather all that information while you're still an employee, that's when it should be gathered, not 10 days later. I mean, that's just my opinion, everybody else may feel differently, but, now, it's my understanding too, and y'all just said, y'all correct me if somebody on the board here knows that I'm wrong, but when a officer resigns, and say they give a 2-week notice, at the end of that 2-week notice, when they turn in their badge, when they walk out the door, is it post? Is that what they call it? Basically recognizes that that officer is no longer an officer unless they immediately step into another law enforcement position.
Right.
Is that
I
pretty
understand.
close?
Yes and no, there's still certain state of Tennessee.
Still certain.
Not employee.
Okay. So effectively, well, I guess what I would be getting at is, let's say that you quit the sheriff's office, fulfilled your time that was required, and then you see me out doing something 2 weeks later, do you have the ability to arrest me or?
No, you still do the citizen arrest.
Oh, right, citizen's arrest. Yeah, yeah. Andy Griffith got all familiar with that. All right, so they lose a substantial amount, an officer does, of his powers when he does that. So that, again, he had, that whoever this was, whoever was using this account, had no business being in. It doesn't matter if they were an employee previously. It doesn't matter if they were not an, definitely if they were not an employee, that's even, maybe even worse. Where you want?
Where is he now?
Working, Lincoln County Sheriff's Office. I'm, I'm,
Well, I wouldn't close the account.
okay,
We might,
leave it open.
I would think so.
Okay.
That's
How much is it costing them?
It's not that much, it's $16
right.
and 20 cents.
That's for y'all.
So it's not, that's,
When was he hired? Before notification was given that this could have possibly happened, or that somebody had done his account, or, that somebody, or was it after the information was given to the sheriff's office?
I don't have the exact hire date, but my understanding is what I gave the chief deputy was given before he was hired.
Yeah, we need to leave it open.
Yeah,
Okay.
Charles, you wanna make a motion?
Yeah, so many, I can't think of all of them. You gave us one of two.
Well, y'all can come up with another option. I mean, I just came up with, should we just turn it off and let's not keep paying it if, the sheriff's department, it doesn't look like they're gonna go forward with it.
Okay, so we've decided
You
to
wanna
leave it
go
up,
forward.
leave it open.
So then the other one was, do we keep it open and seek legal action on the town's behalf? I mean, if you wanna leave it open and if you want me to go further with the town attorney, or if you want me to go to the DA.
You know what information was downloaded, it was worth pursuing.
We don't know what was.
Well,
deleted,
I
though.
know what was
Well,
downloaded. I would be more concerned at this point because of what I don't know, which is what was deleted. It's like Google Workspace was showing me in that account, there were files deleted, like files in plural, and I'm like, okay. And
That's not supposed to happen either. So.
I'm trying every way to pull those back.
So let's just say, here's the way I'm looking at it, okay? If it were me, I would want the benefit of the doubt given to the fact that maybe or maybe not I was the one that did it, okay? And if somebody has hacked an account and is using that account to do nefarious things to computer systems, then it needs to be found out for us on our part and on the part of the former chief as well. So it's my opinion that we need to at least talk to someone about how to move forward legally, to talk to the attorneys, to see if it is a worthwhile venture. I mean, what's the state law? Do we have?
Well,
That's all you need.
you know me. In the 2024 Tennessee Code, Title 39, 39-1-101 through 39-17-1812, or offense, that's criminal offenses. Then you get into the offenses against property, because that would be town property. That's 39-14-101 through 39-14909. Then you get into the Tennessee Personal and Commercial Computer Act of 2003, and that's 39-14-601 through 606. But yes, you're not supposed, in a nutshell, to answer your question, no, you're not supposed to do it according to Tennessee law.
And is that just law enforcement, or does that apply to?
All employees.
All employees.
I'd suggest we go ahead and leave it open, but we put a time limit on it.
Well, don't you think we should talk to the attorney?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Go ahead and talk to me.
Leave it open.
So leave it open,
Talk to the
talk to
attorney.
the attorney. If the attorney were to say, go forward to the DA, is that what for y'all?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay, so,
who made that motion?
okay, open, keep it open,
Make a motion, keep it open,
go to the town attorney,
contact our
and then
town
if
attorney.
he wants me to go to the DA, then go to the DA.
Yep.
So, DA, okay, do I have a second on that?
I see.
Okay, I got a first and second, all in favor by saying aye. Any opposed? Okay. Okay,
Well, I just look at it like this, if I did it and it was wrong, I need to be held accountable. If I didn't do it and someone's hacked my account, we need to know what's going on and we need to find out who's doing it. So I think we need to move forward. I agree.
okay. Okay. Down to number 11, police reports. So we have been a year now with the MOU. It's the end of our fiscal, because we run from July 1st to June the 30th. So I've got a lot of data to give. And again, I'm just gonna read it. Y'all got quite a bit in your packet there. April of 2025, the BOMA voted to disband the Petersburg Police Department. This decision occurred after the resignation of Chief Matthew Griffey on March the 7th, 2025, and the subsequent resignation of Patrolman Emily Beasley on March the 11th, 2025. It was decided to seek an alternative solution that would provide municipal coverage by a standing law enforcement agency and hopefully do so at a financial savings for the town's citizens. The town citizens have voiced their concerns, and the majority who spoke with the mayor and board members were clearly in favor of a municipal force that would be dedicated to operate within the confines of our town. The hope was to lessen response time for calls to aid or service. An MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, was entered into with the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office and signed by myself as Mayor of Petersburg and Sheriff Troy Malone of Lincoln County. I'm gonna give a side note here. The purpose of this Memorandum of Understanding was not to provide services which are already provided by the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office to all citizens of Lincoln County. These services are guaranteed by state law. So if you believe that we were negotiating for the same degree of coverage as Elora, Flintful, Delrose, Mulberry, Blanche, Taft, any other unincorporated community in our county, then you're gravely mistaken. The Memorandum of Understanding we signed states that 2 full-time deputies would be provided and assigned to provide added patrols within our city limits. This MOU would place an officer in our municipal area for 12 hours each day. During the negotiations, Sheriff Malone of the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office were to provide these additional services. It would need added funding from the town north of $40,000, or it couldn't be done. Let it be known that the town never asked for any other taxpayers in Lincoln County to shoulder this burden, but actively sought and offered remuneration to the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office for this consideration. In good faith, the town offered $45,000 for the services listed in the MOU. That amount would essentially pay one deputy's wages, and the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office would pay the other. It is also to be noted that this service would be provided to all municipal citizens regardless of county of residence. At the July 8th, 2025 monthly meeting, the BOMA asked specifically about an MOU between the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office and the Marshall County Sheriff's Department to prevent any jurisdictional problems, as Lincoln County Sheriff's Office were agreeing to patrol the whole town, which resides in 2 different counties, Lincoln and Marshall. Sheriff Malone, who was in attendance at this same meeting, stated that Chief Deputy John McDonald, who was also in attendance, was working on that document and it shouldn't be a problem. The board voted at this same meeting to accept the terms of the MOU. Later that evening, I as mayor signed this agreement along with Sheriff Toll Malone. It was duly notarized by Melissa Short, our town hall recorder, that same evening. While many believe that silence on the mayor and alderman's behalf indicates or implies acceptance or even agreement, I can assure you that it's not so. The first year served as an observation period, a bellwether, if you please, for myself as mayor and our board to assess the MOU in action and make decisions based on these observations and citizens' input. So here we go. Our town recorder requested records from the dispatch center in Bethel, specifically dispatched to on-scene times for all calls made to Lincoln County Sheriff's Office for municipal Petersburg. We were told there was no easy way to separate our calls from the rest of Lincoln County. So here is the call log of the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office from July the 1st, 2025 to June the 26th. That's all your calls, right there. Pretty thick book right there. Been through it. As you can imagine, great deal of time has been spent studying this data, developing an analysis that is relatively easy to understand. Please understand there are over 340 pages of entries to examine in totaling over 11,200 entries. We were sending out calls for service from our citizens in the city limits of Petersburg. The records in this time period indicate approximately 325 calls for 027 Municipal Petersburg. 82 of the 325 were citizens' calls for service. No, this is only for the Lincoln County side of Petersburg. So y'all have a data sheet in there if y'all want to look at that. And it's this one.
Yeah.
Okay. If anybody wants a copy of this, I did not get those over there at the agenda, but if anybody wants a copy, here they are. If you want to pass them out. If anybody wants one. So while you're looking at that, I'll go ahead. In your packet is a list of 28 calls for service from inside the city limits of Petersburg, Tennessee. These were noted due to response times being 20 minutes or longer. Included are their dispatch times and on-scene times. The 10 codes are also listed with that reference. Y'all should have that behind that. So if you need to know what a call was about, y'all got that.
Question.
Mhm.
Is this where was supposed to be here? I mean, is this when they were supposed to be here and there?
I'm not sure what the schedules were. I know that there was supposed to be 12 hours a day. Okay. Note that with 71% of calls for service inside Petersburg city limits, they occurred between 3 p.m. and 3 a.m. Please note that of the 28 calls on this list, 68% of them had a 20-minute or longer response time. So,
Hold on, I know, put your finger down wherever you're, let's back up just a minute, because we just handed all these out to everybody, so we've got 325 calls total for the town of Petersburg out of, did you know y'all ran 11,000 calls and you can hear the hell. 11,000 plus, that's a lot of running. 325 for the town of Petersburg, but 82 were specifically called for service.
right.
So, what that sheet is showing is, the number of calls and the amount of time it took from the time it was dispatched until the time they were on scene. So in 1 to 10 minutes, we got, I'm saying this right, 23 calls.
Right,
So that's 28% of the calls were answered in 10 minutes or less,
true.
okay? So the 11 to 20 minutes is 34 calls, which means 41% of the calls took 20 minutes down to about 11 minutes,
Right,
okay? 21 to 30 is 18 calls, which is 22%. 31 to 40, 4 calls, which is 3%, or excuse me, 3 calls, which is 4%. 41 to 50 is 3, and we got an asterisk. That's 4%, and then 51 was 1 call, and that was 1%. So the average response time for those 82 calls was 17 and a half minutes was the response time.
correct.
The shortest response was 2 minutes.
Yeah.
The longest was 55 minutes. Okay, I see the asterisk is for the longest 4 response times, the 10 codes for them.
I just put those in, just the
Now,
time.
y'all know what 10 codes are? When they make a call, they call out, they'll give it like a 10, 27, 20, but they'll give that number, and that tells the dispatcher what's going on, or the dispatcher gives that to them to give them a heads up of what's going on, basically, what they're headed toward. So at 55 minutes, the 1053 was a wanted charge. At 47 minutes, it was a 911 hangup. At 45 minutes, it was harassment, and at 22 minutes, it was a reckless driver. Now, that information, in my opinion, is important because we need to look at it. And this is not it's not an indictment against anyone. It's just that it is what it is. So we paid for the additional coverage, and the whole purpose of it was to shorten the call times.
Yeah.
It says 54 of the 82 occurred between 3 p.m. and 3 a.m. So it would appear to me that we would be better if we were going to continue and we were going to have officers here doing the same thing. That I don't know what you guys' hours. I don't know how y'all run 66 or okay. Sounds to me like we need to have a 4 to 4 here more than we need to have during the day, because that's when the majority of the calls occur. You got 28 response times that took 20 minutes or more. And I mean, I get it. I do. I understand. If you're on the other end of the county and somebody calls you for help in Petersburg, it's a long haul to get here. I understand that. But
Well, I don't think we're eliminating having them here in the mornings or wherever either.
okay, I'm sorry, Mayor. Go ahead.
Okay.
I mean, our citizens are very proactive tonight in looking at stuff. So I just wanted to make sure they understood that
Okay.
criteria that we were putting in front of.
Now, before I asked our board for their input in regards the first year of service supported the town under the existing MOU, I would like to share a bit more info with you. And if you'll please refer to in your packet, particularly to the Lincoln County Law Enforcement Committee minutes. This one, I think I highlighted it for you. And I didn't know this, because we had talked about, I had discussed with even Mayor Newman and Sheriff Toll, in the beginning, what we might could give, what we could pay. And on a phone conversation that I had had with Sheriff Malone, he told me that we would have to be north of 40 or we couldn't do it. I said, okay. So I had come back and I had told the accountant, I said, you put 45,000 in, because I was told we had to be north of 40. But if you not understanding how county government works, you have the mayor you have the commissioners, but you also have all these committees, and one of them is the law enforcement committee. So there was a meeting where in the beginning of trying to get this MOU together, a law enforcement committee meeting, and I'm just gonna read it as they got it. This is their minutes. It says Sheriff Malone stated, this can be done without monetary help from Petersburg, or take what Petersburg is offering so it isn't such a large hit. Per Tennessee statute, Lincoln County shall provide protection, and it's got a 10-03. So that leads me to think that maybe we could have kept the 45,000 or a big
Well-
part of it.
If we, does it complicate anything though, part of Petersburg being in Marshall County? I understand they were working on MOU for that, but
Yeah, I'm gonna,
yes, you know, they could provide services for Lincoln County.
right. And I'm going, that's in here on down. I've got that in here too. But I wanted to get that. It seems like there's two different things here. You know, I was told we had to be north of 40, but this right here in their record says, you know, they could do it without it. So, now it also, you know, north of 40 also states that there are only 20 or so residences in Marshall County side. So I had Miss Laura pull these numbers. And this is just going off the property tax. We have 121 residences on the Marshall County side and 234 on the Lincoln.
It states what?
20 or so residences. I don't need, did I give y'all the whole? May not have given y'all that sheet. Yeah, it says here, Sheriff Malone stated Marshall County only has about a third of Petersburg, maybe 20 houses. And the economical side of Petersburg, which is where the Dollar General is. So, but I mean, I was just thinking in my head of counting the houses. So I had Laura do a count. I didn't know. I haven't ever put it pen to paper. I've never counted them. So, but learn something every day. But 121 on the Marshall County side.
Wow.
Let's see. And so I know back on July the 8th of last year, we were, as a board, were told that the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office would secure a memorandum of understanding with the Marshall County Sheriff's Department. It should be in your packet as well. If you can refer to the one that looks like this, the public records request. So I learned this. I did not know this. Sheriff Lamb does not have an MOU. There is not an MOU between the two departments. And so they let Laura know Laura had done a records request. And so they wrote down here, reckon this must be his secretary. So Sheriff Lamb said the Marshall County Sheriff's Office does not have an MOU with the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office. So there's not an MOU between the two, and there's been confusion about that from the Lincoln County and Marshall County side. I know we've had calls here to town hall. They've had issues on the Marshall County side, and then, you know, it's like, well, you're gonna have to call Marshall County. We can come render aid, but you're gonna have to call Marshall County. That's on the Marshall County side. So, I know that Alderman Gatlin was told by Sheriff Malone that dispatch was confused and he would handle it. And so Alderman Gatlin affirmed that the Marshall County side of Petersburg call for service would be handled by the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office, and he was told yes, and the sheriff assured him he would clear it up. It is still a problem, but one that we now understand because there's not an MOU. So, you know, and I do have in my files here, I do have the call logs from the Marshall County side. I'll tell you, that's been a total snafu. I didn't know. I thought there was an MOU. I was assured, I know the board was assured on July the 8th to 25 that there would be one. It was not gonna be a problem. I didn't know. I now understand why we've had issue when we tried to make calls and there's been stuff going on. And I've had citizens come to town hall and they were on the Marshall County side. And they would tell me this and I'm like, no, you've got to call dispatch. We were told to call dispatch. This is who you call. Doesn't matter what side of the county, if you're on Lincoln County side or Marshall County side. So, and then if I may address your attention to another document in your packet, and this one is from Chief Deputy John McDonald to a citizen who asked that their name be redacted, and I did. And I'm just gonna read it. And I believe this was around March the 13th that maybe this came out. And he writes, I am writing to provide clarification regarding the patrol zone coverage for the town of Petersburg. The two positions that were recently hired were not post-certified at the time of hire. One of those individuals is currently serving as a deputy sheriff and is attending the Tennessee Law Enforcement Training Academy to obtain post-certification. Second individual ultimately chose to resign in good standing in order to remain full-time in the EMS field. At the present time, the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office continues to provide patrol services through our existing staffing structure. Our patrol operations are divided into rotating zones that include north, south, east, west, and a roaming unit. The north zone includes coverage for the town of Petersburg. To ensure continued service, our current deputies rotate through these zones and respond to calls for service within Petersburg as needed. Additionally, we have continued to provide law enforcement presence and security during Petersburg Town Hall meetings. Until we are fully staffed, we will continue utilizing our available personnel to maintain patrol coverage and respond to calls for service to the best of our ability. Patrol within the town currently includes both marked and unmarked Lincoln County Sheriff's Office vehicles operated by supervisory and specialized personnel, including the chief deputy, deputy chief, lieutenant, criminal investigators, and our K-9 unit. We remain committed to supporting the town of Petersburg and will continue to provide services through our rotating patrol structure. Once staffing levels are fully restored, we will remain these efforts to ensure the community receives the best possible service. And then finishes it up. Hope this information meets your needs and addresses your request. Please feel free to contact me if you need additional information. Respectfully, Chief Deputy John McDonald, Lincoln County Sheriff's Office. So this was in March of 26 that this was sent, which, I mean, I don't know, reading that tells me we've not had the two officers here for 12 hours a day, and we keep referring to the two officers. It's gonna take two to do the 7 days a week, one each day at 12 hours a shift. And then they were going to determine by the call log at what time they would be here. So just to add that as an added note. Let's see. Get back here. Okay. This citizen was given this information and excuse or explanation, if you will, of why the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office has not been able to fulfill the terms of the MOU, but I, as mayor, have never been contacted in this regard whatsoever. It's abundantly clear that the terms of our MOU have been fully honored by one party and one party only, and that is the town of Petersburg. We appreciate the hard work of our deputies who work hard to do the right thing day in, day out, and from someone with a deep understanding of what a thankless job is, I fully understand. Yours is a thankless job too. Please understand, this is no indictment against you all, at all. You do as you're asked to do day in and day out, and for that I applaud you. So when I say this next part, it bears no reflection on you. If there are deputies patrolling 7 days a week, 10 to 12 hours a day in Petersburg per the guidelines set forth in the MOU, I nor the citizens have seen them. If there is documentation to the contrary, I would be glad and happy to review it. It is my belief that the town of Petersburg, since the inception of this MOU, has been receiving only a fraction of the obligations contracted by the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office. It is my contention that the physical assets provided to the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office by the town of Petersburg be retained by the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office and considered payment in full for the fiscal 25-26, and the payment of $45,000 set forth in the MOU be refunded to the town of Petersburg. I also asked our Lincoln County Commissioners to encourage the Sheriff of Lincoln County, Tennessee, to fulfill the terms of the MOU to the fullest extent. And I'm gonna now defer to the board for discussion.
But my belief that if we've got an MOU with Lincoln County Sheriff, I know how hard you work on it, that they should work as hard on their side as we have, as you have. So kudos to you for doing it.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I really do. I do think it's a solid plan. I mean, citizens wanted it. And before, when we had the police department, all we were getting was 12 hours a day anyway. We were not getting 24/7.
It was costing us a lot. more
It was,
money.
Yeah.
it was costing a whole lot more money. And I'm a numbers person, and in looking at this data, I'm thinking, and this is just me alone, I'm thinking, why even have it, save the 45,000, just go on your response time, just do your 911 calling and leave that money in the general fund. But it's the will of the people. What do the people want? And at that time, I was, being told, we gotta have officers here, we gotta have officers here. And I would, at some of them, I would come back and say, well, if we get them, it's, right now that MOU, it's gonna be 12 hours a day. It's not gonna be 24/7. There's,
Well, any way we go about it, there's gonna be 12 hours that are uncovered.
yeah, any way you go about it.
But right now, according to what this letter says, is that it's basically a rotating thing. So we don't know when we've got coverage, when we don't have coverage, if we've got, I know that, there has been couple of times where a couple of guys were here together in office for majority of the day. But now, if you look at the MOU says that they're going to be patrolling all of Petersburg. Duties of the, deputy sheriff assigned, duties of the patrol deputy sheriffs assigned to the town of Petersburg. So that's not rotating in and out, that is assigned, that's what we're paying for. The sheriff, and it even says the number of deputies. The sheriff shall assign the equivalent working hours of 2 full-time regularly employed deputies. And if the sheriff agrees to staff deputy sheriffs within the town of Petersburg on a weekly average of 80 hours. If reasonably available in the sheriff's judgment, reports for the MOU justification will be provided by the sheriff at the request of the mayor of the town of Petersburg. Deputies are to patrol all town streets and provide high visibility within the town limits of Petersburg located in Lincoln County. You see, that's where we asked the question when it said located in Lincoln County. We said, wait a minute, this is supposed to be Marshall. And we were told, absolutely, we're working on an MOU, we'll have it signed short, not gonna be a problem, no problem. And then we find out that there is no MOU. The sheriff of Marshall County didn't sign it or wouldn't sign it or whatever reason. There is no MOU existing, which makes sense because when we were coming in and ran into traffic problems and cars sitting in streets and everything else on Marshall County sites, we called Lincoln County and, called dispatch. Nope, you gotta call Marshall County. Said, no, we're supposed to call dispatch. No, you gotta call Marshall County. So I talked with Sheriff Malone one day about it. We met, can't remember, courthouse or somewhere. And, told him that was a problem. He said, dispatch doesn't understand. He said, just call the sheriff's department. When they run into that again, call the sheriff's department. Tell them what I said. He said, I'll make sure they understand. Call the sheriff's department that night. That night. They said, no, you gotta call dispatch. And I said, I just talked to the sheriff. They said, well, no, you gotta call dispatch. I said, I talked to the sheriff today. He said to call you and you would dispatch somebody even though it's Marshall County. Hold on. I get an officer on the phone. Officer explained, no, sir, that's Marshall County. We can't go over there. That has to be dispatched to them. Said, the sheriff told me. He said, hold on. If you'll hold the line, I'll make a call. I said, okay. He called me back. Said, I just got off the phone with, Chief Deputy McDonald. He said, no, we don't go into Marshall County. That has to be dispatched through them. He said, we called Marshall County and they sent somebody over. So I see the confusion when we had citizens that were fussing because they said, hey, we called dispatch and they told us they don't have a clue what we're talking about. So, I mean, I know a lot of our officers in the sheriff's department and they're great guys. I mean, we got two great guys here tonight, and I mean that. And I know you guys work hard. There's no doubt in my mind when you put your life out there on the line. But the terms of our MOU have not been lived up to. It just, I mean, the way I'm looking at it, and I know that they've been partially lived up to, but for $45,000 a year, which is what we signed it for, you know, I don't know. Our citizens are out there and I mean, they report to us all the time and tell us that, well, I saw one today, but it's been weeks since I'd seen a patrol car go up and down my street. But it says that they're supposed to regularly patrol. So, and I understand they're short-staffed, I guess, but that's irrelevant to the terms of the memorandum.
I do want to say on Sundays, I have seen Lincoln County patrolling the Marshall side some.
Okay.
At times.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
And just to give you these numbers, cause I gave them on the total cost, 325 on Lincoln County side, calls for service was 82. And basically around the same time frame, give or take 2 or 3 weeks here. On the Marshall County side, there were 111 total calls to Marshall County and 69 calls for service. And this was all Marshall County when they came. So just to give you those numbers.
I think we need to come back to the table.
On this,
Maybe, I mean, like with Lincoln County
okay,
and discuss this, see
Yeah, I agree
if
with you.
there's tightening. Okay.
okay.
All right, I don't know.
What about the $45,000 we paid for this last year?
That's something we need to do a special call for.
Well,
Well, we watched the water system,
what do you,
even though it was losing money,
what was your recommendation in the end? What was that you said?
to me, ask for the 45,000 back, keep the assets.
Now, when you talk about assets, that's the,
Patrol cars,
Three
the
cars, right?
firearms, the body cams, the bulletproof vest, the spike strips.
let them have all the stuff we didn't, keep all the stuff we didn't need because we didn't have a police department. And give us our money back and then let's renegotiate this thing. Is that what you're saying?
That would be, that sounds good to me. But I mean, we've spent money, taxpayers' money, And looking at this, just in the data, going through this, you know, I don't know that there's $45,000 that, you know, that we should have had to write a check for, which we have. It's been sent. Like I say, I'm a numbers person, so I'm looking at this from, you know, water system's gone. We do not have that account to fall back on, even though it was losing money. I mean, there were some things that were able to be paid out of that, that now will have to come out of the general fund, you know. If you want to look at it this way, we are really in uncharted waters that we've not been in, not in my lifetime. In my lifetime, we've always had a water system. In fact, we used to run off 3 wells and had our own water treatment plant, and the town made pretty good off of it then. But, you know, I'm not trying to bird walk in left field here, but, you know, I'm just looking at it from a numbers thing. If it's not been done, then I don't think it's beyond reason to ask for a refund or a partial. If, you know, if you can show me where there's been 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, okay. I mean,
I think I'm gonna kind of fall back on what Logan said.
okay,
We bring it back to the table, we do a special call meeting, and we sit down and we flesh this thing out.
so,
You're saying with
with
the sheriff's department.
Yeah, sure.
okay, so you want to make a motion to table it, and you have a special call meeting with, or,
Yeah, I'm always loud when I get, no, in my opinion, I think that we need to ask for our money back, period. We need to ask for our money back, let them keep the assets at this point, and let the mayor, flesh this thing out, because she's the one that's supposed to negotiate the contracts for us. I'm not trying to be mean or anything else, but a special call meeting, I don't think it's gonna do us any good at this point. We need to figure out where we're at, if, you know, if we even wanna go forward with this. You know, the citizens, I don't know what the citizens' feelings are, about, I know that there's some that really are worried about not having a standing police force and having that quick response, but your average response is 17.5 minutes. So, and like I say, that's not criticizing anybody, because I understand. These guys have a boss, these guys have to do what the boss says, the boss puts them where they need to be, and then when they get a call, they have to go where they're called to go. I understand that. So it's not a deputy problem at all. So I don't know. I say we advocate for our commissioners, or ask our commissioners rather to advocate for us. And tell our commissioners that, you know, we entered into a contract and we feel like that we've been slided on the contract, and ask our county commissioners to step up and see what they can do for us. And that's now,
Well, you're right, it is the mayor's position to carry out contracts, so I can agree.
They can't provide anything saying they were here at this time, you know, certain days or anything like that, can they? I mean, to let us know that these days, they was actually here.
not that I know of. I had, and I do not remember who I was talking to. I thought that they had the track it system on most of the cars, and then I was told that a lot of those had been taken off, because I thought, well, because I had citizens that were coming in telling me they're not here, and I'm like, yes, they are, they have been here. And I said, because I just saw one this morning. Well, I saw that too, but they're not staying, okay. And I thought, well, I'll just ask for the track-it information, and then I was told, oh, they've removed most of those from the cars, so I didn't pursue that. Now, I don't know if they have any of the track-its on cars that Because that right there would show if they were here 12 hours a day.
Well, the analysis, wherever that page went, I had it while ago. That analysis now, like I say, it's 23 calls in under 10 minutes. That's, you know, I have no argument or gripe against that. Even, you know, the under 20, I don't have any gripe over. But when we start getting 20 minutes and over and, you know, 30 to 40 minutes, that clearly lets us know that nobody was in town. When 10 minutes, yeah, I spoke with a guy that worked here years ago, that's that's still in law enforcement. And I asked him, I said, what would be your response time if you were in Petersburg? He said, anywhere I was in Petersburg, if I get a call in the municipal boundaries of Petersburg, I can be there inside of 4 minutes. He said, if I'm sitting in the office, here, and I get a call to come, he said, I can be in the car and anywhere I need to be in Petersburg in 4 minutes. So, I mean, realistically, if we wanted to be, you know, just hypercritical of the whole situation, we would have, you know, you could have gone in and said under 5 minutes and see how many responses you had there. But the 1 to 10, 23 calls, but 11 to 20, 34. Then over that, you know, it's just the call times are too long, which tells me that most of the time they're not in the city limits. So I stand by what I said. I think that we need to make a motion to have our commissioners advocate for us for a refund and for a renegotiation or fulfillment of the terms of the original contract.
Yeah, if the terms were fulfilled, I think it's great.
I think it's a great contract if the terms are fulfilled. But in the meantime, I do feel like we've sort of been beat out of $45,000, maybe unintentionally, but nonetheless, it's still.
Right. Or this, you know.
If I wire your house for $45,000 and only do half of it, you're gonna feel kind of beat up about it, aren't you? So that's my motion.
That's your motion.
That's my motion.
I can second it.
Okay.
Okay, I got a first and second to go to our commissioners, see if they can advocate for a refund. And is that motion including letting them keep the
Allow them to
assets?
keep the assets for the first year's service, what they have provided for them.
You're seconding that. Okay, all in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right. Is there any further discussion that y'all want to do with this? Or are we done with this one? Okay. All right, then we are fixing to be into the financial report, and so I'm gonna read you, our accountant has sent a note to me just to read this. So you've got your financial report ending June 30th, 2026. She wants you to keep in mind that she will need to prepare journal entries for the due and to accounts for the funds before the books are closed, and that's on the fiscal year. These journal entries should only affect the balance sheets of the various months. So that being said, general fund, cash balance, $655,680.35. The revenues were $291,345.05. The expenditures are $250,711.05, with a year-to-date change in fund balance of $40,634. I will give out the water fund. We are basically on the tail end of everything transitioning. I will say July 1st, we got a letter from the state before July 1st, but that on July 1st, basically our water utility account would be dissolved. So it should all be now with FPU as far as the state is concerned. We're still working on some paperwork to get to them. And of course, with the work going on with the grants, the stormwater drainage and the valve insertion, we still got to pay out. So we still have some in the water account. And once that's all paid out, we will be cutting a check if there's anything left to go to FPU. So with that, I'll give you the water fund as it is. It would be at the end of the year. Cash balance of $28,680. Revenues, $482,915.97. Expenses, $587,389.24. The year-to-date change in net position is a negative $104,473.27. Just to note, year-to-date repairs to the system that we had to do went at $282,213.50. State Street Aid Fund, cash balance of $9,540.08. Revenues of $43,516.88. Expenditures of $21,101.25 with a year-to-date change in fund balance of $22,415.63. The refuse account, cash balance $67,158.94. Revenues $44,644. Expenditures $35,701.45 with a year-to-date change in fund balance of $8,942.55. So that is your financial report.
Motion to accept.
Okay, she's telling me to, I'm sorry, we've got a new one here. I forget about this one, it's brand new. Okay, septic fund. We had to create that, being the water system left, because that's how we build that. And that's for those people that have their septic flow into a town septic tank. Started out with a cash balance of $50, and that was just to get the account started up. Revenues of $16,996.73, expenditures of $10, and fund balance of $16,986.73. Okay, now I have read all of the financial reports.
Motion to accept financial report.
Okay,
No,
got a first and second to accept the financial report. All in favor by saying aye. Any opposed? Okay, I don't think I have anybody here from the fire department. Nope. Parks and Rec.
Okay, we're having bingo on August 21st. It's gonna be a Hawaiian theme. So come out, join us, and have fun.
All right.
I wish everybody could see the community center parking lot.
Yes.
I got pictures
Good.
today of it. Dale has worked hard on it, and Robbie, if that's still his name, worked hard yesterday too. They've got all the lines painted. It looks great. So, we're ready, like the mayor said, for a basketball goal out there. So, do appreciate the hard work that they donated, the labor
Yes.
side of that for us too.
It looks
Really
great.
appreciate that.
Does, it looks great.
Looks great. Thank y'all.
Okay. Well, I'm down to 15.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Okay.
I'll second.
I got a first and second to adjourn. All in favor by saying aye. Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, gentlemen and gals.
Hey, I will say something to everybody though, since we are closed. 350 pages, 11,000 entries is a lot of stuff to go through to try to build an analysis. So, and remember, the mayor makes zero for the job that she's doing, so I think we owe her a round of applause. So, like I say, it was time consuming. I hadn't seen the kitchen table in 3 weeks, so.
Thank you.